In this video, we're going to look at the difference between the get method and the post method using a form. So I'm going to create a quick little form here. All right, I have a form, and I'm going to preview this in the browser so you can see what it looks like. If you're unfamiliar with how we got the inputs here or the button, there are other videos that go over that. In this video, we're not going to go over how we created those inputs or the submit button. So now we have a form, and we spoke earlier about the method and the action attributes. In this video, we're going to talk about the method get. What get will do when you save and reload this page, and then you submit your form, it's going to put your information in the URL bar. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Caleb Tallien, and when I click submit, something a little bit different is going to happen. That information that I've inputted is going to show up in my URL bar. And the information is going to be a key value pair. So I hit submit, and in the URL bar, it says my file name is code.html. Then it has a question mark. That means everything after this is part of the query string. This whole section here is called a query string. F name is equal to Caleb, and L name is equal to Tallien. Now, when we look at our code, we had F name, that was my first name, and L name, that was my last name. Now, we can do this with many different types of inputs. I'm going to create one more here, and I'm going to call it age, and it's going to be a drop-down menu. We have different values. We have value 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and the information inside each option is the exact same. Quick little caption beside it. Refresh the page. I now have an age drop-down menu. So my first name is going to be John Snow, and his estimated age is probably between 30 and 40. Hit submit. Now that information goes away in the form, but again, it shows up in the URL bar where the first name is John, the last name is Snow, and the age is 30 to 40. Now this is called a get method. And anytime you submit a form with the get method, your information will show up in the URL bar. So if you have to submit any form, or your users are going to submit any sort of information that could potentially be considered as sensitive, we're talking about secret passwords, credit cards, anything like that. Those are extremely sensitive pieces of information. But even if you considered someone's date of birth to be sensitive information, or their age, depending on what your application is all about, then you may not want to show that information up here because that's accessible to everybody. As soon as that user hits that submit button, it shows up in their URL bar. Now to show you what I mean, I'm going to create one more input. We're going to call it password. Refresh the page. Now I've got a name, a last name, an age, and a password, and you're not going to be able to see what I can write. And there's probably no way you can guess what I just typed. However, when I hit that submit button, that password shows up. And you can see it here, password is equal to, but it shows up in the URL bar. Now where this comes in useful is when you're using a server-side code such as ASP or PHP, and it's trying to get the information out of the URL bar. Sometimes it is very useful to put some information up in the URL bar because you can change the content on your page depending on what the variable might be. So if this was, it would look a little bit more like this, code.php, query string, page is equal to 123. We could then pull that information onto the server. The server would recognize that page is equal to 123. It would create a variable for us, and we can change everything that's on that page based purely on the information in here. Now that's where it becomes really powerful. Now your task for this video is to create a new document. Then I want you to create a form element with the get method, just like we did. We opened a form element. The attribute called method was equal to get. Then inside that form element, I want you to add an input field, just a regular text field, a password field, and a drop-down menu. Then on those three fields, I want you to add the name attribute to each element. So your text area, your password field, and your drop-down menu should all have the name attribute, and the value should be different. For example, the text input field could just be called name, password could be called password or pass, After that, add a submit button to the end of your form. Save and open the document in your browser. And then I want you to fill out your form. Hit the submit button, and you'll notice the data is inserted into the URL bar. If your information shows up in the URL bar properly, the way it showed up in this video, then you have successfully created a submittable form using a drop-down menu, a password input, and a text field, submitted by a submit button, and the information was sent to the URL bar. Once that's working for you, we will see you in the next video.